Industry 4.0 started as a German federal government initiative in 2011. COVID has become a big accelerator of these technologies, which are next gen cyber physical systems. We'll talk through some examples here. The top users are people like Siemens, General Electric, Boeing, Tesla, ABB, BMW. And I'm sure your first question is, well, wait a minute, that's not the crowd that I hang around with. What's in it for me? A smaller company. Well, what we've seen with lots of our mid-market customers is the interest in adopting some of the things I'm going to tell you in the next few minutes. The top vendors in this area are Microsoft, IBM, AWS, and SAP. The leading industry sectors are automotive, high-tech electronics, metals, and mining. It's important to note that Industry 4.0 is not a singular technology. It's an assembly of disruptive technologies to enable digital transformation. This enables big leaps in productivity, cost reductions, operational visibility, and today workarounds to COVID physical distancing constraints. So the next few slides, I'm going to walk through some examples of Industry 4.0. We'll start with the Internet of Things. One of the examples that I wanted to mention was a distributor called Jurgens Industrial Supply that deploys auto crib vending machines stocked with inventory up to 5,000 items at an agreed to price at its customer sites. Personnel will get a unique PIN and can order parts by scanning a barcode for items needed for the job. You could set up parameters. For instance, you might decide that workers are only given access to one set of gloves every 24 hours. The company also offers an elegantly simple on-premise remote product resupplying offering via Wi-Fi enabled IoT buttons. One of the examples that I mention often is one of our med device customers that has deployed RFID tags on every component in finished goods for tracking and compliance. IoT has been trending for the past few years. 5G rollout will help fuel this trend. I expect to see a lot of IoT being used to help solve problems related to social distancing and capacity constraints. This next slide talks specifically about that. At Ford, we see watch-like RFID wearables. These wearables will vibrate when an employee comes within 6 feet of each other to ensure worker compliance with social distancing protocols. Another offering they have is called Safe Spacer, which can be worn on a wrist, the belt, or lanyard. It has lights and sound, and vibration will occur when an employee comes within 6 feet of another, but it also logs contacts for contact tracing. Here's another example, 3D printing. Fitness equipment manufacturer Rogue Fitness pivoted rapidly to develop 3D printable, reusable face shields early at the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. Working with a local hospital, it designed and printed an approved prototype in 2 days and immediately started 24/7 production using 3D printers. The initial face shield design was created, manufactured, and shared with the hospital team within 24-hour time frame. So 3D printing is becoming ideal for addressing crises such as this because it enables direct CAD to print production of parts without the same time spent creating tooling. Best of all, this particular approach is now available for even small manufacturers, requiring now as little as a $2,000 to $3,000 investment. And it's also ideal for small batch runs. So once again, an Industry 4.0 concept quickly implemented in the pandemic. So let's talk about lights out manufacturing. This is a very interesting story that I like a lot. Companies with lights out capabilities where machines run unattended shined during the shutdown as five-star examples of business continuity. Lights out manufacturing has been trending for the last 10 years. This concept enables production with minimal or zero human intervention by relying on greater automation at critical portions of the manufacturing process, such that a process can continue once humans leave the factory or leave the operation. I'm going to give you a quick example in my mind, which is combining IoT and robotics to get to kind of a lights out manufacturing approach. So you can have a robot fill a plastic injection molding machine based on an order that it receives. Their plastic injection molding machine stamps out the new part. The robot can then pick up that part and move it to the next station, which might be a painting station. Once the painting is completed, the robot could pick it up and put it on a carousel to be moved to a packing location where it's wrapped and a label is placed on it. And then that robot again can move it to the next location, which would be shipping. Small to medium-sized manufacturers are also deploying this in work cell applications. Another example is in China to cope with their rising labor costs. They're using it where the bulk of manufacturing operations takes place. Foxconn, who has some plants here in the United States, has made some sweeping changes. A prime example is Foxconn's dark factory in Shenzhen. Visitors to the factory must use flashlights. It's the only way to get around the factory to see what has been happening. The next topic is digital manufacturing, the paperless factory. Paperless factory is something we've been talking about for the past 20 years. COVID is probably the final push to get manufacturers to finally do away with paper. Virus transmission, risk reduction becomes a new and very important reason to digitize paper forms. Paper forms will not be viable because face-to-face interaction in joint workspaces will be significantly limited. As we work with manufacturers and distributors to map out their future state, going paperless is a consistent theme throughout all of our work. Another concept is called digital twins, and it's ideal for the post-COVID era. Manufacturers can configure plant floor layouts and new equipment without having to have people physically at the site. A digital twin is a virtual replica of a facility and a plant floor. The digital twin are now being used to manage the performance, effectiveness, and quality of manufacturers' fixed assets, such as manufacturing machines, lines, and plants. They are used to support the entire design, to execute, to change, to decommission life cycle in real time. They are playing a vital role in facility redesign to meet new needs, requirements, and post-pandemic manufacturing. At Siemens, they use digital twins, enabling customers to participate in virtual plant tours, critical to marketing and manufacturing capabilities. Let's talk just for a minute about artificial intelligence. This will continue to grow, and I'm going to give you 3 very specific use cases that are trending. First is predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance is one of the biggest opportunities for manufacturers in the post-COVID era, not only due to the potential savings by proactively preventing downtime, but because there now are constraints in having personnel on the shop floor. Predictive maintenance collects, analyzes, and utilizes data from various manufacturing sources like machines, sensors, switches, etc. It applies intelligent algorithms to the data to anticipate equipment failure before it happens. So not just monitoring the output of a machine, but in employing advanced algorithms and machine learning to take action from real-time insights. Another form of artificial intelligence comes into play with analytics in forecasting and planning. Forecasting and planning is a constant source of frustration. Artificial intelligence can help provide greater validity and accuracy. For example, manufacturers are now harvesting data from outside the 4 walls of the company, such as economic indicators on new housing starts, plus manufacturing data from the ERP system to augment and enrich the data to better inform everyone of forecasting models. We have a medical device client that is running SAP with the integrated business planning module for forecasting and planning. They happen to be a manufacturer of breast pumps, and they're using the solution to pull data on birth trends to help them inform their forecasting module. Another use case are chatbots. Artificial intelligence enabled chatbots can automate support queries, service tickets, and customer issues with a seamless chatbot. NHK Spring, one of the world's leading manufacturers of springs, realized that large numbers of service tickets were being produced that were issues that were repetitive or redundant, and that a chatbot could be used to recognize and respond automatically to those common scenarios, freeing IT personnel. Another example is in source to pay. As companies navigate unprecedented supply and demand challenges, they are needing to revamp their supply chains to restore resiliency and stability, and are pursuing next-generation source-to-pay strategies. This includes investment in digital tools to enable businesses to support online and reverse auctions and sourcing events, dual sourcing, multiple sourcing strategies, and the use of procurement marketplaces such as Amazon and AP automation. An UltraClient is a pharmaceutical company that was able to grow the volume of invoices without increasing its AP staff by employing automation. B2B is also part of the Industry 4.0 trend. The Amazon effect continues to be pervasive, and manufacturers are responding with customer self-service and frictionless digital experiences, which are increasingly integrated with key back-end systems such as estimators and product configurators. Paperless parts estimating tool can integrate a CAD CAM drawing system and send a quotation to a client with little or no human interaction. This creates time-saving, value-added customer experience to win new customers or repeat business. Customers can easily share quotes with their team, preview parts in 3D, and order directly with credit cards or POs through an integrated shopping cart. Here, another example of how mixed mode and high mix and low volume manufacturers can get into the web commerce revolution. Virtual reality is another part of Industry 4.0. To combat the ongoing shortage of skilled labor and new proximity constraints, many manufacturers are using augmented and virtual reality for training. Also, as manufacturers continue to adopt direct-to-consumer business models, they will need to adapt new technologies to support the customer experience. One example is shown here is Toll Brothers, which showed the buyer having a virtual experience, envisioning design selections in their new home. So what you've seen here is a number of new technologies that we have seen emerge in this period of COVID that are enabling changes in the COVID world, but are also enabling business process improvements.